Larry Kelly, South Pleasant Street, Amherst, of course. So I would like, this is sort of my annual visit this time of year. I think my first visit to the Select Board was in October of '01, and then every August since, so tonight makes it the 10th visit, strangely enough, because it's only the 9th anniversary coming up. But I would like to request that the Select Board allow the 29 commemorative flags to fly in the downtown on 9/11 to commemorate, remember, honor the almost 3,000 Americans who were slaughtered that day, 95% of which were civilians of all race, creeds, colors, political and affiliations and sexual orientations, and just simply died going to work on a gorgeous Tuesday morning because they were Americans. And I know that 2 years ago, as I said, I've been here every year for the last 9 years, so I know full well that the Select Board created a policy 2 years ago to allow the commemorative flags to fly every 3 years, once every 3 years, in order to honor the Americans who died that day. And I think a couple things have, well, at least one thing has changed since then. We now have 2 sitting Select Board members over to your right, Madam Chair, who were not here 2 years ago to vote on that. And in fact, they weren't in town meeting 3 years ago to vote on my resolution saying the flag should fly every single year. And only a third of town meeting supported that, which to this day stuns me. But that's where Mr. Weiss came up with his compromise, saying that, well, since a third of town meeting supported the flags, then once every 3 years should be sufficient, which historically speaking reminds me of the 3/5 compromise, where blacks were considered to be 3/5 of a person, for crying out loud. And I find that dreadful, just as I find flying the flags once every 3 years to be absolutely dreadful. So I, again, respectfully request that the Select Board simply allow them to fly this coming 9/11, and this obviously is your last meeting since then. And I know, Madam Chair, you don't like to create policy or have public discussion during question period, but this thing has been discussed at length for the last 9 years. So again, the only thing I would say that has changed is we have 2 members of the Select Board who did not vote on that, what I consider to be dreadful compromise. And as I said, we have 2 other members, one who's not here at the moment, who on the floor of town meeting, as town meeting members, voted to fly them every single year.
Thank you very much for coming in. So just so folks understand, the reason we don't discuss policy, et cetera, during public comment is because public comment, you never know what people are going to bring up. And the agenda is about making sure we inform everyone who might want to be part of a discussion that something is going to happen that they might want to be here for. The new open meeting law makes that even more explicit. We can't be dealing with things that aren't on the agenda, and that's why our agendas are so very detailed. So we have no capacity to deal with this question tonight, and unfortunately we don't have another meeting before September 11th. What we did last year, just to remind you and folks at home, is we said, okay, if any Select Board member wishes to reconsider the policy that had been created a couple of years ago, all they need to do is ask, and we will put that on the agenda. No one had asked to do that. If a Select Board member were to request a special meeting between now and then to reconsider that, we could certainly do that. But if no Select Board member asks to do that, then you can assume that no Select Board member is interested in revisiting that policy this year. So
I take it that's a no.
There's no way for us to change it other than the procedure I just indicated. Next year, you'll note, is the next year they're scheduled to fly, and that is the 10-year anniversary, so that's most appropriate.
For the first time in 10 years, I won't have to come here to ask, because that would be part of that dreadful compromise that Mr. Weiss came up with. But I have been here 9 consecutive years in a row, last meeting in August, to make this question, put this question to the Select Board. So it strikes me as people who don't particularly like to see the flag fly on 9/11, and there may still be a few of them left in Amherst, probably figured out that I'd be here tonight. So, but that's just me. I'm an insider, I guess.
Thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you.
Any other public comment? All right, so if that's clear to Select Board members, if anyone wishes to readdress that policy and do so in a special meeting before September 11th, just let me know and we will arrange that. And otherwise, the policy will stand. questions about that. Mr. Wald,
By what means do we?
please speak into the mic.
Sorry. By what means do we let you know, and on what schedule?
You would just let me know, and we would try and put a meeting together.